emails this week, Hillary Clinton's camp and she herself seemed to take it more seriously. There were jokes about it in kind of the previous week. Now it seems to be more serious, even calling up some fundraisers to the headquarters to talk to them.
Yeah, I think they decided that they needed to have a different approach, and I thought the interview with Andrea Mitchell was a sign of that. In other words, to sit down and have what they knew was going to be a prolonged conversation about this issue. And I actually thought it worked pretty well. I kind of wondered, well, like, why doesn't she do 3 or 4 of these a week? Because the best way to show that you're not being secretive and evasive is to act like you're not being secretive and evasive. And I thought that interview was a pretty effective way of doing it. So I suspect we're in a new phase more broadly in their attempts to address this issue.
Well, Chris Christie basically, once giving advice to Hillary Clinton, said basically she needed to do what he did, which is just stand out there and take questions until people have stopped being able to answer them. Jamelle, there's discontent in the Democratic. There's always discontent, right? Not just with Democrats, but you know, where there's always, you can write a story, so-and-so is discontented. But do Democrats, the discontent I hear is with the handling of this. Yes. Do they have a case?
I think they do have a case. Obviously, I don't think Clinton knew if she was running for president in 2009 when this email server was created. But I do think that Hillary Clinton should know that she is among the most watched people in American politics, if not the world, and that if she had an inkling of maybe she'll run for president in the future, to have not done this. It doesn't necessarily mean that the email server is illegal or criminal or anything. It's just, I think, bad political judgment from someone who really should know better. And I think what grates Democrats is the you should know better fact of all of this.
I think the attitude among Republicans, certainly in 2008, many Republicans, was that Hillary Clinton was someone who was a more responsible and more trusted person when it came to just the responsibility of governance, and that was something that they understood even within the context of the Democratic primary. I think now this is a revelatory moment for a lot of people because you knew this was going to be an issue, yet you still continue to do this. The questions being raised now about the staffer that she employed that may raise all sorts of ethical questions that the Congress is only just beginning to look into. I think this is going to continue to be a story, and that she does need to engage in that kind of open approach to answering questions.
It's actually slightly worse because the cynics are now saying she did this precisely because she knew she was going to run for president. So that's a no-win situation.
Nancy, you were with Joe Biden this week. I want to talk about him quickly before we end. He talked about whether he would run or not. Very emotional. Very emotional, raw, anguished. He did not look like someone who is ready to make a decision one way or the other anytime soon. He said he's trying to figure out if he has the emotional energy to run. But I talked to someone very close to him this weekend who said, as far as they know, he is still on the same timetable, which is that he will make a decision by the end of the summer. And the autumnal equinox is now 16 and a half days away. Whether he's ready to make that decision or not, you know, time's a-ticking. Getting very Stonehenge-y with the autumnal equinox. Jerry, do you think he can... what's your assessment of what?
Well, what Joe Biden is selling is authenticity because he's not a polished guy, and this seems to be a cycle in which authenticity actually works, so that's going for him, I think. I think the problem he's got is that, you know, Iowa and New Hampshire, as Nancy was saying, are places where organization really matters. He's got nothing going there. And he gets to the South after that, and that's a place where the large minority African-American vote is very, very heavily favors Hillary Clinton, and that's a bit of a problem. So he's got to find a path, and it's not actually obvious what that path is.
It's not clear that path can be on the issues either, because on economic issues, he's not really that far from Hillary Clinton whatsoever. And on issues that might appeal to African-American voters in the South, he has this long history of being essentially a drug warrior. And he's very vulnerable to that if it comes up in the context of a primary. He does have deep ties, though, in South Carolina. He vacations there. He knows a lot of people there. In fact, those are some of his strongest supporters, pushing him to run.
Sorry, we're going to have to leave it there, Nancy. Thanks so much to all of you. We'll be right back in a moment.